Hey y'all, what's up? So in this video, we are going to be making some vegan stir fry. I am pulling out my wood cutting board and I just want to show you guys the type of noodles that I got. These are called Fortune Yakisoba stir fry noodles. They are not gluten free, so if you are gluten intolerant, this is probably not the recipe for you. I also have some white rice, 5-minute rice, just to put on the side. I'm actually gonna go for the noodles and I'm gonna let my family eat the white rice. This is a great recipe. And I'm gonna start with some extra virgin olive oil as well, but this is a great recipe if you are in a family where you're vegan and everyone else is not. I also have some toasted sesame seed oil. I don't use both of these. You can decide which one you wanna use. Then I'm also using garlic, salt, and black pepper as my seasoning. And you'll see later on in the video, I end up also using some Lowry's. I have 2 large green bell peppers here. I'm also going to be adding in, just for color, not honestly for flavor because they all taste the same, a red bell pepper. And this is a large red bell pepper. You can see in comparison to the other peppers. I'm also using a yellow bell pepper. And like I said, they literally all taste the same. It's just for color. And then I'm also using 2 large onions. You can only use 1, but me and my family, we are onion fanatics. And it is that time of the year where the kids tend to get really sick or get sick a lot. And so we use onions to kind of combat that. I also have some mushrooms, pretty large container of mushrooms. As well, I'm going to be using zucchini. Now, not only am I vegan and the rest of my family is not vegan, I also love mushrooms and zucchini and no one else does. So I am going to actually cook all 4 of these zucchinis, not just these 2, but I am going to cook my mushrooms and zucchini in a separate pan because I'm putting this in my stir fry. I try to put as much vegetables in my stir fry as humanly possible. One, because anytime I can get in some extra veggies, I'm gonna do it. Anytime I can get my kids to eat some extra veggies, I'm gonna do it, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and start chopping up these veggies. I'm gonna start with the zucchini first because I actually like to steam it a little bit before I saute it. I kind of go back and forth when I'm doing this process, or anytime I'm really cooking zucchini. I always go back and forth trying to decide, like, am I going to steam this first and then saute it, or am I just gonna saute it? Because I feel like I do like it to be a little soft, but I think the sauteing it keeps more of the actual like nutrients intact because it's not as thoroughly cooked as when you steam it. Like when you're steaming something, you're depending on how long you steam it, right? You're knocking out a lot of the nutrients. So I am vegan, but I also like to keep in mind, like, hey, don't cook these vegetables down too much because then there's no point in you eating them because there's no more living vitamins and nutrients in them. So I am just going to chop this in slices, and then I am going to take those slices and chop them in 4s. So once I have that in the pot and it is steaming, I'm gonna go ahead and continue to chop the rest of my vegetables. I'm actually going to chop my peppers vertically. I was gonna say horizontally, but I'm gonna chop them vertically because I don't want them to be diced per se. Since this is a stir fry, I want them to be like kind of long and stringy. That's probably not a really good adjective to use, but whatever. I want them to be like long and stringy, so that's how I'm gonna cut it. If this was like for spaghetti, I would do like a chunky dice because I like for my spaghetti to be vegetable heavy as well for me and my kids. But if this was like, let's just say like jambalaya, I would dice really small for all of these veggies. And I actually use all of these exact same veggies for jambalaya, except for the zucchini and mushrooms. I leave that out, but honestly, why not throw it in there? Like,
they said you got high as the sky, up all night just dancing. Oh, I hit you like, please come home to me, come home to me, but you're not understanding.
so now I'm just gonna throw all of these peppers and onions in the pot. I also put a little bit of onion over in my zucchini pot, as you can see, off to the corner, and I'm just gonna mix this up. Now listen, YouTube, I don't need y'all to start freaking out and talking about some, you put your hand in the pot and your germs, and I wanna say I probably washed my hands at least 5 or 6 times while I was cooking this, but also this is my household and this is my family, so at any point in time, all of the people that live in this house was inside of me, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. So y'all don't talk about me putting my fingers in my food, okay? Now I'm gonna move on to the mushrooms. Now once all of that is cooked, so all of my veggies are cooked at this point, I have my cast iron wok. I just coated it before you go off the camera. I coated it with a little bit of olive oil and some garlic salt, and I'm gonna start by cooking my family's portion that does not have the mushrooms and zucchini in it. I am throwing the peppers and onions mixture. So they steamed a little bit. They're not super soft, but they're just a tiny bit soft, but I'm gonna give them like a crisp, like hard, crunchy outer layer with that garlic salt and olive oil. Like, oh, it's about to be so good. It's about to be so good. So you can see I am sauteing, the steam is coming off. One of my favorite ways to cook is inside of a cast iron. There's just something about a cast iron that just gives a different, I don't know, like a different flavor. And I don't know if it's because I'm Southern, but baby, I'm a modern Southern girl. So I have cast iron skillets, but I got a cast iron wok. I got a cast iron everything. Like, and as you know, of course, now listen, I am a vegan for weight loss reasons. I'm not a vegan because I care about animals. I do care about animals, but I'm not a vegan because I care about animals and I care about the environment and all this other kind of toxic whatever, like Mojo Jojo. Like, that's not really me, right? So I have a cast iron for the taste. I don't have a cast iron because cast iron is better than nonstick. Now it's time. This is what y'all have been waiting for. So this is the teriyaki sauce I use. It is P.F. Chang's teriyaki sauce. It is vegan. Now I will give you a disclaimer. It does have some sugar added into it. And of course it does have some sodium because recipes that are, you know, Asian based from the eastern side of the world do often have lots of sodium, which I don't think is bad. I think it's just everything in moderation, right? And I've showed y'all the back of the bottle. If you wanna go back about 5 seconds and pause, you can read the back to ensure that is up to your nutritional goals and standards. If you are vegan for weight loss, you do not wanna use this teriyaki sauce because sodium, well, I don't know about your body, but for my body, anytime I eat sodium or I intake too much sodium, I actually do not lose weight. I don't know if it's because sodium makes you hold more water, so it's actually water weight versus real weight, but salt will really throw off your body, okay? So if you are vegan for weight loss, my suggestion is to use liquid aminos. There's something called liquid aminos. I am out right now, so I do not have a picture to show you, but I will pop it up on the screen so you can see what it looks like. This is the best alternative to soy sauce. So you can use some liquid aminos. Now it is very loose. It's not like saucy, like thick, but you can mix that with a little bit of nutritional yeast, which does have a little bit of sodium, but it's not too much, okay? It also has a lot of protein in it, so it's a great source or supplemental source of protein, okay? So you can use that instead. Now this is my family's portion, so what you see me dropping in right now, yes, that is chicken, okay? That is chicken. Now we had some chicken thighs that were left over from a previous meal, so I am just adding those chicken thigh pieces to this stir fry pot. I'm gonna go ahead and stir this all up, and then I'm going to plate this in a separate bowl, wash my pan or wash my wok pot, and then I am going to come back and cook the vegan version for me. So all the vegetables were cooked at the same time. The only difference in between my family's food and my food is that theirs has chicken in it and mine has no chicken, but mine has mushrooms and zucchini, which is giving me a little bit of like that meatier, heavier texture. All right, so we're back. I am just letting the remainder of the water and moisture that was on this pot just evaporate. These are the noodles. I took them straight out of the box. They do have this plastic wrapping, and so I'm just puncturing the plastic wrapping per the instructions on the back of the noodle pack, and I'm gonna pop these in the microwave, both of them together, for about a minute. And that is it. The packet said that it was to soften up the noodles, but quite honestly, you could have, if you don't like the microwave, You can throw the noodles in a pot and just put a tiny bit of water in there, and maybe put the top on and just let the noodles steam until they're a little bit more tender, okay? It reminds me of ramen noodles actually, which by the way, this would probably be a great ramen noodle recipe, but ramen noodles have so much sodium, it's insane. I put a little bit of olive oil in this. Now some of y'all gonna be like, that was not a little bit. Listen, baby, I'll put what I put in here. And garlic salt, I promise y'all, it looks like a lot, but it is not a lot. The thing with certain vegetables is that they produce and release so much water that even when you put salt in them, or garlic salt or Lowry's or whatever you're using to season your vegetables, that all of that just gets washed out and ends up at the bottom of the bowl anyway. So I'm actually going to put some real garlic in here, some minced garlic on top of that garlic salt, because I love me some garlic. This is why I don't get sick a lot, okay? Because I eat a lot of garlic, I eat a lot of onions, I eat a lot of spicy stuff. Like my sinuses stay open, okay? All right, so I'm going ahead and putting my peppers, my onions, my mushrooms, and my zucchini in here. I almost wish I would have cut my, I wish I would have left my mushrooms whole because they were a little bit too small. And then my zucchini, I wish I would have cut it vertically the way that I did the peppers, but hey, whatever, it's still gonna taste the same. It just doesn't look the same. So let's move over and get these noodles. The noodles were softened up in the microwave, like I said before, and then I put them into the pot. Now I'm still gonna add a little bit of water because they still weren't like as tender as I wanted them to be, but I did want them to be like al dente, but this was like real hard. You can see they still sticking together and everything. So I did go ahead and add a tiny bit more water, but I tried to go ahead and separate them as much as I could without breaking them, because I do want the noodles to stay, you know, the same length or whatever. Now y'all can see what I meant when I said this is like ramen noodles. Like I could have just did ramen noodle packs for this, but it's okay. You live and you learn, right? I think the part of the noodles that has the sodium is the actual like sauce packet. So I'm thinking next time I could grab ramen noodles, use the noodles and just save the sauce packet for something else, or, you know, split that sauce packet up into another recipe somehow. I'm all about saving as much as you can. So these actually came with their own sauce packets that had spices in them. When I ended up tasting this later, I felt like it was sugar. Like it was just too much. It was weird because like when I smelled it before I put it in there. Like, listen, I don't play. You're not gonna mess up my whole recipe with your little pre-packaged sauce. So it smelled like it was not sweet. It smelled like it was savory almost. And this is vegan, so this is not a sauce that is made from, you know, it's not like a chicken bouillon or a beef bouillon, okay? It is vegan. But it seemed like they had put sugar in there to give it like a sweet and spicy type of vibe, and I don't like it. Like, I don't like that. I don't need no added sugar, like at all, okay? I grew up in a household where we did not have sugar. Like, we didn't have sugar in the household. Like, you know how most households have bags of sugar? We did not have that. We didn't even add salt to our food, like just a little bit, but like there was not on the table, there was not like a salt and pepper shaker. Like that did not exist in my household. So adding that post cooking is, yeah, it's too much. So you can see I added both packets here. I'm mixing it up and it looks like the sauce was kind of like staying in one area. So adding that water to like continue the steaming kind of helped with mixing that up as well. And I did take a few noodles out. My son is in the background in this video crying, okay? When he sees me cooking, he's like, he was trying to stand in between me and the stove because he wants to eat what I'm cooking so bad. And he is totally fine, y'all. He is totally fine. He could have just eaten a snack. But if he knows mommy's in the kitchen, he's like, she's cooking something and I want it. So he literally stands in between me and the stove and pushes me away from the stove and looks me in the eye. Sometimes he'll kick the stove and look me in the eye, like, make me something to eat. And that makes it sound like I'm starving my kids. I promise I'm not, but he just really likes fresh, like home-cooked food. So, yeah. And he's one, by the way. So I know y'all were like, he kicks the stove and looks you in the eye. He needs a whooping, or he needs to be put in time out. Nah, he's one, y'all. So I'm just gonna play him up because he is not waiting on nobody. Okay. So I went ahead and plated myself up with some noodles. I went ahead and added broccoli to mine as well because I was like, why not just throw one more vegetable in there? But that is the finished recipe. It took me about 45 minutes to cook. The family loved it. If y'all want more vegan cooking recipes or vegan, non-vegan for the family recipes, just let me know below. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. See y'all later.